Fighting overconsumption, TikTok's de-influencing movement and no-spend challenges are a wake-up call for brands. More consumers are joining pledges such as the Rule of Five, where you limit fashion purchases to 5 items a year, conducting wardrobe inventories, or challenging themselves to buy nothing new in 2024 and shop their closets instead. TikTok made me buy it has become a common refrain for users influenced to make purchases from or on the app. Now, the hashtag de-influencing has been used more than 26,000 times, full of content creators working to undo some of that impulsive behavior. What is good for the planet is also good for our mental health and our well-being, and if we buy less, but we buy more mindfully, we are happier. And the planet is going to thank us because we don't need that much stuff, says Katia Dayan Vladimirova, senior lecturer at the University of Geneva and founder of the Sustainable Fashion Consumption Research Network. She and 3 colleagues launched a year-long experiment for 2024, the Joyful Closet Consumption Challenge, to help participants rethink consumption patterns and simultaneously study what challenges people face as part of that work, what motivates them to keep going, and what benefits they see if and when they succeed in reducing their wardrobe size and their acquisition of new clothes. As public concerns around waste and climate change grow louder, the mood is shifting at the highest levels as well. The head of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, called on world leaders to rethink old growth models. Where does that leave brands, whose sustainability efforts have largely focused on business practices but not transforming the business model itself? For a growing number of academics, economists, advocates, small brands and even sustainability professionals within larger brands, the writing is on the wall. Brands need to adapt. We're not going to achieve sustainability with fashion houses constantly needing to increase growth every year. No amount of circularity, no amount of anything is going to work, says Joseph Mertz, chairman of the Mertz Institute and senior fellow at the Global Evergreening Alliance, who led a study last year concluding that human behavior is at the root of the global environmental crisis. We are, by nature, prone to addictive behavior, and shopping can be an addictive behavior. Because of our evolutionary history, we are also prone to needing to acquire and control or hoard resources, says study author Phoebe Barnard, CEO of the Stable Planet Alliance and affiliate professor in environmental futures, ecosystem health and conservation science at the University of Washington. That addictive impulse has been exploited for profit because of this economic system we have created. The key to designing for the future, experts say, is to align people's needs with those of the planet, and to create business models that serve both, rather than work against them. Vladimirova, among others, have already documented that through consuming less, people actually become happier and see boosts in their overall well-being. The Rule of Five pledge, launched by fashion editor and sustainability advocate Tiffany Dark in January 2023, has taken on a life of its own in just the last year. I did it expressly to answer climate issues but was surprised that most of the response was from women sick of their own overconsumption, looking for a reason to stop, says Dark. Outside of shopping pledges, people can also take advantage of clothing swaps to gain a sense of community and new-to-you clothing options, and repair services, which are also on the rise. What a more balanced business model could look like for brands, the researchers behind the Joyful Closet Challenge suggest, is that fashion's profits can be repartitioned such that new product sales account for only a fraction of a company's revenue, as opposed to the majority of it. In her post-growth fashion Substack post, Vladimirova envisions a future where customers continue to spend money on fashion, but only 40% of their total expenditure, instead of today's 97.9%, goes towards acquiring new pieces. 30% would go to fashion experiences such as rental or digital fashion, and the final 30% would be spent on maintenance and improvement, like repairs and upcycling. It's about the modeling of the behavior, not what we tell people to do, says Mertz. We don't look at the drivers of our behaviors, they're all around us pushing us in the complete opposite direction of what we're telling them to do. We're shining a spotlight on one area and telling people to do this, while we've got all of these behavioral influences pushing people in the other direction. I think it's critical to recognize that. Moving away from overconsumption, in other words, needs to become the cool thing to do, or it needs social proofing, in the words of Rachel Arthur, a sustainability strategist who authored the United Nations Sustainable Fashion Communication Playbook. We need to bring on board more influencers, thought leaders, creators who can help make sustainable lifestyles truly aspirational, as well as inspirational, she says. We need the really big names to come forth here, and that's not happened yet. Will the current influencing and anti-overconsumption trend become permanent interests or fade away as the year wears on? The journey to overcome overconsumption is just started. Will the consumerism really stop? The challenge is in our hands. Extract from a Vogue Business article.